So let's suppose this is my data, right? Let's suppose this is my data, right? So this is called as the workbook in Excel. This is called as the workbook, right? In one workbook, we can have multiple sheets, right? So this is your sheet 1, this is your sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, right? So these are the multiple sheets, and you can have n number of sheets in this, right? Now, in each sheet, right, you will be seeing, this is called as the ribbon, right? This is called as the ribbon, right? So we have this is called as the tab options, right? So we have the home, insert, page layout, formulas, data, right? So we have these different tabs, right? Now let's suppose this is called as the ribbon, and in each ribbon we have the partitions. For example, in clipboard, right, this is the clipboard. In this we have these many options, right? Cut, copy, paste, format, paint, right? All these things. In the font, how to play with the font, right? If you want to increase the size, decrease the size, all these things fall under the font. Alignment, right? If you want to do the left alignment, right alignment, right, in the center, right? So all these things you can do using the alignment. Number, right? So whenever you are playing with the numbers, right? For example, you want to increase the decimal places, you want to decrease the decimal places, right? So for all these things, we have the number options available, right? Then the styles, right? So how to remove the conditional, how to identify the duplicates, right? All these things we can do in this styles option, right? So here we have the cells, here we have the editing and grouping command, right? Now, when you are working in the real time, so you'll be having the huge data, right? So some Excels will be having the 1 lakh record, 10 lakh records, 5 lakh records, right? 50,000 records, right? Now, let's suppose there are 50,000 or 1 lakh records in that, right? And you want to see how many exactly records are there, right? You want to go to the bottom of your Excel, right? How you will go for that? How you can go with that, right? You cannot scroll down, right? So the shortcut key for that is Control, Shift, and down arrow, right? Control, Shift, and down arrow, right? So here, right? So it is taking me to the last part of my Excel, right? So last row of my Excel, right? But there is a glitch here, right? There is a small glitch. Let's suppose I have a missing value here, right? Let's suppose this is a missing value, right? In one of the record, right, I have the missing value. Now, if I apply the same thing, Control, Shift, and down arrow, right, it will break here itself. It will not go down, right? Because my Control, Shift, and down arrow will work until and unless there is no space, right? As soon as it will find a blank cell, right, it will stop there itself, right? So what we can do for it, Control, Shift, down arrow, again down arrow, again down arrow, again down arrow, right? So this will take me to the bottom, and from here I can directly go back to the Control, Shift, up arrow, right? So using these ways, right, you can iterate through the right to the bottom, right, to the top, right, in this way, right? So this will be very helpful when you are going in the real time, right? Control, Shift, down, Control, Shift, right. See, in this way you can go to the Control, Shift, right, right? Now, let's suppose you do not want to select the entire row or entire column, right? You want to go cell by cell, right? So for that, we have the Shift and down arrow. See, one by one, right? You are selecting the boxes one by one, right? Keep on pressing the Shift and down arrow, right? So in this way, you can select one by one also, right? So when you are working on the laptops, right? So then you will be working on this shortcut keys, right? So shortcut keys are very useful. Okay, so Control, Shift, down arrow, right? To go to the entire down, right? And Shift and down arrow for the one by one row, right? Now, these are called as the columns, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, right? So these are called as the columns, right? And these are called as the rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the rows, right? Now, let's suppose we have a column of this thing, right? Submitted, right? Now, submitted, right? So if I want to see, right, what are the different values of this submitted column, right? What are the different values of this submitted column, right? So what we can do, we can apply the filters in this. We can apply the filters in this, right? So how we can apply the filters, right? So Control, Shift, and L. Control, Shift, and L. Right? See, if I talk about Excel, so there are 100 plus shortcut keys, right? So you don't have to remember all these shortcut keys, right? So whatever we are discussing in the class, right? So 99% of the times you will be using these shortcut keys only, right? So 99% of the times you will be using these things only in your real time, in your analytics, right? So again, this filter is very useful, right? You will be using this filter most of the times to see what kind of different values I have in my data, right? So for example, if I want to apply the filter on this, so Control Shift L, right? So it will remove the filter, Control Shift L, again, it will apply the filter on this, right? Now, this is the filter, right? Click on this, and these are the different values I have in this, right? Email, fax, phone, postal email, referral, and web, right? Now in this, right, let's suppose you want to see only the email part, right? Only those records where we have the emails, right? So simply click on this, it will deselect all, right? And simply click on the email and click on OK, right? See, only one record is there, right? Only one complaint is there, right? Which is submitted via the email, right? Similarly, if you want it for phone, right? For phone, we have how many complaints? 1, 3, 4, 5. See here, right? 1, 3, 4, 5 complaints are there, which are generated using the phone. Out of how many? Out of 10,000 records. Out of 10,000, right? 1, 3, 4, 5 are generated using the phone, right? In the same way, if I check for the postal mail, right? So these are this thing. Okay, so this is what the filter is, right? So you can apply the filter on more than one columns also, right? Simultaneously. For example, here you have applied the filter on this, right? And here you are applying the filter on yes also, right? So it has reduced to 690, right? From 1345, it has reduced to 6195. Why? Because we have applied the filter on two variables, right? One is submitted via and one is timely, right? So in the same way, you can apply the multiple filters on multiple columns, right? Now, if you want to remove this, you can remove this in this way, right? So this is how you can apply the filters, right? So you can apply the filter on date variable also, right? So here we have the date, right? See, 2020, if you expand this, so it is showing me the data for 2020. So we have the data of January. If you want to expand January further, right? So we have the 2nd January, 4th February, right? Now let's suppose client comes to you and he says, okay, show me the data only for 2018, January 2018, right? So what you can do, click on this, right? Expand the, we have to go to the 18, right? Click on this, right? And click on this January. So it will show you the data only for January 2018. So what it is saying that 152 records are there out of 10,000, right? Which generated on 2018 in the month of January, right? So in this way, right? Now, let's suppose you have this category, right? Product category, right? In this, you want to apply the filter, right? And you want all those, right? Which are starting with C, right? Which are starting with C. You want to see all those products which are starting with C, right? That is called as the text filters, right? See, one option is there that you can directly choose these three, right? Checking, credit, and credit, right? Because all these three are starting with C. This is one of the approach, right? But think about a situation that you have 50 plus uh, options to choose, right? Then for that, what is the easiest approach? Simply go to the text filters, right? And these are the different options available with us, right? So we want all those records where the product is starting with C, right? So what we can do for this, begins with, right? Click on this begins with, right? And here you can simply write C and click OK, right? Now it will show you only those records which are starting with C, right? So there are 6,324 records which are starting with C, right? In the same way, you can apply the other filters also, right? Equals, does not equal, ends with, right? You want to end, you want to see all those records which are ending with card, right? So that means either the credit card or the prepaid card, right? So these things. So simply write here and click on ends with, and here write the card, right? So it will show you, see, either they are ending with prepaid card or the credit card, right? So these are called as the text filters, right? Now we discuss this thing, right? So we have two type of variables. One is numeric variables, one is character variables. Now this text filters will be available only for the character variable, since this is a character variable, right? Now we have the numeric variable, right? Now if you want to apply the filter on numeric variable, so here we have the different options, right? So Control Shift L, right? I'm removing the filter. Now again, I'm applying the filter, right? So here you will see the number filter, right? Here you will see the number filter. So in the text column, I had the text filter, right? And these are the different options. In the number filter, I have the this one, number filter, right? So here you can create the conditions. For example, you want to see all those application IDs or complaint IDs, right, which are greater than, let's suppose, 2,50,000, right? Or 25 lakh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 25 lakh, right? Simply click on this, right? Number filters, greater than or equal to, right? Greater than or equal to, simply write 25, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25 lakh and press OK, right? See, I have 8,000 records out of 10,000. I have 8,000 records out of 10,000, right? Which have the complaint ID greater than 25 lakh, right? Similarly, if you want to have less than this, right, you can apply the filter of less than also, right? Number filter, right? Less than or equal to, right? 25 in this way, right? See, all these are there, right? 2,000 records are there which are less than this, right? Now, client comes to you, right? And he says, give me all those records, right, where the submit via is missing, right? Where the submit via is missing, right? As of now, if you see, there is no missing value. As of now, there is no missing value, right? Now, let's make some values as missing, right? I have made these values as missing, right? So some values I have made missing intentionally. Now, client comes to you and he says, okay, give me all those records where the submitted via is not present, right? So here, when you apply the filter, you will see the option of blanks, this blanks, right? So blanks mean the values are missing for this variable, right? If you click on this, right, see, it is showing you that all these values are missing, right? Simply you can export this into the Excel, or in the second tab, copy paste these values, and you can share it with the client. That these are the applicant's ID or complaints ID, right, for which we do not know the submitted via. Now, let's suppose I have here two columns. Right? I have two columns. One is state and one is zip code. Right? One is state and one is zip code. Right? I have two different columns. Now, client comes to you and he says, I do not want these two columns. I want a single column. I want a single column, and which will have both the values, right? Zip code and then the state name, right? So it should be something like this: zip code, comma, state name, right? So how we can do this? For this, we can use the concatenate function. Very useful function. You will be using this very frequently in your day-to-day activities, right? Concatenate, right? Concatenate, right? What I want firstly, I want the zip code, right? Select this, comma. Then after that, what I want space, right? Space, right? Space, or maybe, just a minute, space or maybe comma, right? And then again, comma, and then this thing. Right? See, in this way, right? So what it is doing? So firstly, I am having the zip code and then we have the state, right? So now you can simply drag it to the bottom in this way, right? So in this way, we have used this, right? Now, where you will be using this in the real time? See, for example, you have a data something like this. You have the first name here, right? And you have the middle name, right? And you have the last name, right? You have three different columns, but in your final report, which you want to share with the client, you should have only a single column, right? And that should be the full name here. Full name, right? So for that, you can use this, right? For example, we have the first name as first, right? Middle name is a middle, right? Last name as last, right? Right? So, but I want the name should be, or maybe let's take Sandy, right? Then middle name is, let's suppose, John, right? And last name is, let's suppose, Smith, right? Sandy John Smith, right? This is the full name, right? I want in a single column, right? I want a single column. So how we can do this is equals to concatenate, right? Select this column, comma, right? Now, what do you want in between? I want space in between the first name and last name, right? So in double quotes, just write the space, comma, then select this, comma, then I want the space between the second and last name, comma, and then Smith, right? See, Sandy John Smith in a single column. We have got this, right? In this way. Okay. Now, think about a situation, right? When we have the data something in this way, right? You have the pin code, right? Zip code, and you have the state, right? This is the data given to you. Now, using this data, you want to divide it into two parts. One, zip code, and second, state, right? You can do that thing also, right? You can divide this column into two different columns also, right? How? So this is also something which you'll be using very frequently, right? So how we can use this? So select this, right? Go to the data tab, right? When you go to the data tab, here you have the text to columns option, right? When you click this text to columns option, right, here we'll be having the option of delimited, right? So let me firstly, before going into that, I'll show you one more thing. So if you see this, right, so these are the values, these are the functions, right? Here we have applied the formula, because if I click on this, right, so this is called as the formula bar. In the formula bar, you are seeing the values here, right? Now the problem is, let's suppose if I delete this column, or maybe I delete these values, right? You see, your data will get corrupted, right? If accidentally you deleted this column, right? If accidentally you deleted this column, right? See, your column will get corrupt in this case, right? So for that, what we have to do, just copy these values, right? Right click and paste as values, right? So what will happen with this, if you are doing the paste as values, right? So all the values will be pasted as values now, right? Now these are not the formulas, these are the values, right? Now if you delete this, it will not have any impact on my data, see, right? So always remember, whenever you are doing these kind of things, right, applying the formulas, right, and before sharing it with the client, right, so make it as this thing, paste as values, right? So there will be two advantages with this. The first one is, if the client is making any changes in this mistakenly, right, so these values will not get changed, this for the first advantage. And second is, the file size will get reduced, right? If you see this Excel file, right, you will be storing it somewhere, right? You will be saving it. So if you have a lot of formulas in your file, right, then the file size will be very huge. It will be in MBs, right? But if you are not storing the formulas, if you are simply storing the values, right, then the file size will be smaller in that case, right? So this is, you have to keep this in mind, right? Okay. Now you have the data something like this now, right? Now, based on this, you want to create two columns, right? One is state column and one is the zip code, right? So what you can do, select this column, right? Go to the data tab. In the data tab, you will be seeing this text to columns, right? So click on this, delimited, next, right? So these are the different options available with me, right? So tab means whether it's a tab separated file. So our is a what separated file, comma separated, right? Because in the first variable and in the second variable, we have the comma in between, right? So what we can do, we can enter the comma here, right? So you can click on the comma, right? So if you see, this is how my data will get changed. See here, this is how my data will get changed, right? So click on this comma, and click on next, right? And general, and click on finish, right? See, in this way, we have divided my data into two parts, right? This is equivalent to your joining and splitting, what you discussed and what we discussed in the Python basics, right? So the same task how you are doing in the Excel, right? This thing. Okay. Now let us remove this. Right. Now let's suppose you have a column, right? Something like this, right? Let's take these values and paste it somewhere here, right? Let's suppose you have these numbers, right? Now you want to sum all these numbers, right? So for that we have the function sum, right? So we have many functions in the this thing, Excel, right? So all those functions will come with the is equals to sign, right? So is equals to sum, right? And simply select all these numbers and bracket and this, right? So it will sum all these numbers, right? Now in this, right, let's suppose you want to make it as a comma separated, right? So you can make it as the comma separated also. Click on this and click on the comma here, right? See, now the comma separated values are coming. You do not want to have these decimal values, right? So you can ignore the decimals in this way. You can remove the decimals, right? If you want to have the decimals, you can increase the decimals also in this way. See, right? For all these, if you want to do the same thing, select the entire column, right? Comma, and remove the decimals in this way, right? Now, let's suppose um, you have a comment column, right? So this is a comment column, right? And the comment is huge, right? For example, my full name is, right, Sandy John Smith, right? Let's suppose this is the full comment, right? Now, if you see, my half of the information is going into the other cells also, right? Ideally, it should be only in F, but now it is going into the G and H also, right? Now, to solve this problem, we have multiple options available, right? First option is when you hover over this, right, you can click, you can drag in this way, right? This is the first option, right? You can increase the width of this column, right? This is the first thing which you can do. Second thing is, let's keep it here only, right? Double click on this, right? It will automatically adjust the width of this. Third option is you can wrap the text also, right? Wrapping means click on this, right? And here you will see the option of wrap text, right? So when you click on this wrap text, right? So it will show you in a single column only, right? It will increase the width, right? It will increase the width, but it will keep this as it is, right? So you can increase in this way also. In this way also, you can adjust the length or the width in this way, right? So this is called as the wrapping the text, right? So you are wrapping the text, right? In a single column now, we are getting the information, right? So you will be using this when you are getting the ad hoc request from your client and you are sharing the report to them, right? Then you will be using these things, right? So if you see, when I have done the formatting here, right? When I have done the formatting here, so this formatting has got changed, right? So Sandy, I want this to come in the middle, right? In the center. So using this, you can do the formatting, right? So select this and see in this way, see in this way, right? So wherever you want, right? You can do all these things, right? Now, next important function is merging, right? So let's suppose, right? All these are the name columns, right? All these four columns are the name columns, right? First name, middle name, last name, full name, right? So you want to see the name should come on the top, right? Name should be written on the top, right? So what you can do, simply write name, right? And then what you can do, you can simply drag this in this way and you can do the merge and center, see in this way, right? And then into this, you can create the borders also, thick outside border, right? You can make it as bold, you can change the color for this, right? So these kind of cosmetic changes you will be doing into your Excel when you are sharing the report with the client, right? So while doing the analysis, right, you will be creating these kind of things, right? Now, if I talk about this one, right, let's take this data only. Let's take this data only and paste it over here, right? So this is the data I have. Right? Simply click on this and it has adjusted the thing, right? Now, you want to share this data to the client, right? So to do the cosmetic changes, what you can do, right? Select this whole part, right? Go to this and click on all borders, right? See, the borders are coming now, right? You do not want to see these grid lines, right? These grid lines are coming, right? Go to the view tab, right? And remove the grid lines from here. See, by default, it is checked, right? Make it as unchecked, right? See, now the plain sheet is coming. Now the plain sheet is coming, right? Now you want to do the changes in the header, right? So click on this home, right? And make it as the thick outside border, right? You can make it as bold, you can change the color, you can do the central line, right? All these things you can do in this way, right? Now you can adjust this thing, right? Now in this way, you can share the report to the client, right? So these are some cosmetic changes what you can do in this, right? Now, next part is sorting, right? Sorting in the sense, right? So for example, I have this complaint ID column, right? I want to sort it in the ascending order, right? So there are multiple ways for doing this, right? Either you can go with this option, right? So here we have the option of sort, right? Sort smallest to largest, right? This thing, right? But again, I would recommend go with the shortcut key, right? So Control, Shift, and L, right? It will create the filter, right? In this filter, when you expand, right? So here you will be seeing the option, right? Smallest to largest. So when you click on this, right? See, it has sorted your data based on the smallest to largest. If you are doing largest to smallest, right, then it will sort the data based on the largest to smallest, right? Now see, while doing the sorting, it is very important to understand that your entire data is sorted accordingly, right? It is not the case like only this variable is getting changed, right? So the other columns, right, pertaining to this complaint ID should be in sync, right? It should not be the case like here I have changed the ordering, but these are still the same, right? Again, it will corrupt the data, right? So these things we have to keep in mind, right? So this is how we can do it using the shortcut key, right? But if you want to go with this, right? So here we have the option of custom sort also, custom sort, right? So when you click on this, right? So it is asking you whether my this thing data has headers or not. Headers in the sense the first row, whether it is a um, column name or not, right? So if it is yes, click on yes, right? Now sort by which column I want to sort, right? Let's suppose I want to sort based on the complaint ID, right? Sort on what? Cell values, right? I want to have smallest to largest, right? So based on this, I can sort. See, the values will get sorted, right? Now you say, okay, I have sorted based on the this, right? Now I want to sort based on the date submitted also. I want to sort based on the date submitted also, right? So what you can do, again, go to the sorting, custom sort, right? Add level. Add level in the sense I want to sort firstly by complaint ID, then by date, right? So this thing, right? So let's do the thing. Firstly, let's do the based on this date submitted, right? So oldest to newest, and then by the complaint ID, right? Smallest to largest. Okay. Now see, what this is telling me, firstly, we are sorting based on the date. Firstly, we are sorting based on the date, right? So these four columns are there, right? These four columns are there, which are the oldest, right? So firstly, we have sorted based on this, and then in this only we have sorted based on the this. Are you getting the difference, right? How to sort based on the multiple columns. In this way, we can sort based on the multiple columns. Right? Now, if we want to remove the duplicates, right? How we can remove the duplicates? Let's take the example of this thing, right? Product ID. Let's copy paste this and copy this in a new tab. Right? So I want to remove all the duplicates from here. Duplicates in the sense, if you see credit card, it is coming so many times, right? So then we have the mortgage. Mortgage is coming so many times, right? So total, how many records are there? We have total 10,000 records, right? I want to remove all the duplicates from this. How we can remove? Select on this, click on this, right? And here you go to the data tab, right? And here you will see this option, right? Remove duplicates, right? So when you click on this remove duplicates, right? It will ask whether the first row is a header or not, right? So obviously my first row is a header. Click on this and okay. So what it is saying that 75,000 duplicate values are found, right? And 9 unique values, right? So it has given me all the 9 unique values in this way, right? Simply, we can see that in the product column, we have these different values, right? Now, if you want to remove the duplicates based on two different columns, right? Based on two different columns, right? One is product and one is issue, right? Based on two different columns, right? So that also we can do. So just copy paste it here, right? So you have product, you have the issue, right? Now you want to delete, basically now what you want to do, you want to delete the duplicate combinations. When I say duplicate combinations means credit card and credit card determination. This is a single combination, right? Credit card and credit card reporting. This is a single card. This is a single this thing, right? Now, if you see this one and this one, these are duplicated. right? Because credit card reporting is coming 2 times, right? So I want to remove this kind of combination, the duplicate combination, right? For example, this combination, this is duplicated combination, right? I want to delete these combinations. So for that, what we can do, select these, right? Go to the home, right? This thing, go to this, right? Go to the data tab and this one, right? So here we are saying first is headers, right? So here we are saying that check the combination in this, right? It is equivalent to the distinct keyword, what we used in the distinct keyword in the SQL last class, right? You can use the distinct on a single variable also, on the multiple variables also. So here we are applying on multiple variables, product and issue. Click on OK. So it is saying 75,412 duplicate values found and removed, right? And these many are the unique values, right? So in this way, these are the unique values.